Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Mason Rudolph signed with Titans without an offer from Steelers, report. The Pittsburgh Steelers never made an offer to free agent quarterback Mason Rudolph in the 2024 offseason, according to The Athletic's Mark Kaboly. Per a tweet from producer Austin Bechtold, Kaboly told the Joe Starkey Show on 93.7 The Fan the Steelers and Rudolph's representation were scheduled to meet, but Rudolph changed direction when reports emerged on March 10 that the team signed quarterback Russell Wilson. Rudolph's representatives and Omar Khan were gonna meet on Sunday to figure out where they were gonna go with this all, and there wasn't a sense of urgency on the Steelers' part at that point, Kaboly said on April 10. They basically told him to hold your cards a little bit here. Later Sunday night, when did the Russell Wilson news come out, 11:30? Within 3 minutes after that, Mason Rudolph says I am not going back to the Steelers. So, there was no official offer on the table. They just told him to sit still. Rudolph officially signed with the Tennessee Titans on March 15. The Steelers began the 2024 offseason motivated to keep Rudolph in Pittsburgh. In relief of an injured Kenny Pickett and after the team benched backup Mitch Trubisky, Rudolph went 3-0 as the starter in the final 3 games of the regular season and led the team to a playoff berth. Though Pickett was healthy enough to return, head coach Mike Tomlin gave Rudolph the start in the team's playoff loss to the Buffalo Bills on January 15. According to the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, Steelers general manager Omar Khan told reporters on February 29 the team would try to negotiate Rudolph's return. We would like to have him back, and I believe he wants to come back and compete. He likes it here, and we've had a good experience with Mason, Khan said at the time. Instead, the team's decision to sign Wilson caused a domino effect that led to a completely revamped Steelers quarterback room. Kaboly reports that the Wilson signing solidified Rudolph's decision to leave Pittsburgh. Shortly after the trade, Kenny Pickett asked for a fresh start and was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. That opened the door for the Steelers to trade for Justin Fields' trade on March 16. The quarterback room is far from the only major change the Steelers have made on offense this offseason. The Steelers hired former Atlanta Falcons head coach Arthur Smith as its new offensive coordinator on January 30. Smith will be tasked with revamping a Steelers offense that struggled to produce consistently under former offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Smith will work alongside a changing receivers group. The Steelers traded their former top receiver in Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers on March 13. Third-year receiver George Pickens is set to assume the role as the team's top target, but there is still not a clear number 2 behind him. Pickens and Calvin Austin III are the only receivers from last year's team who remain on the roster. The Steelers have been connected to various free agent receivers throughout the 2024 offseason. So far, they've only made depth additions with former Philadelphia Eagle Quez Watkins and former Los Angeles Ram Van Jefferson. Report: Pittsburgh Steelers have decided what position they want to draft in first round. The Pittsburgh Steelers have made important improvements to their passing game during the 2024 offseason. That trend is expected to continue in the draft's first round, but maybe not in the way most fans hope for. The Steelers traded away Kenny Pickett and let Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky sign with new teams. They signed veteran Russell Wilson and traded with the Chicago Bears for Justin Fields. With the quarterback room overhauled, most fans want help at wide receiver to replace Deontay Johnson following his trade to the Carolina Panthers. Per Matt Miller with ESPN, the Steelers are looking to take care of Wilson and Fields by protecting them up front with the number 20 pick. What are the Steelers thinking in round 1? I can't tell you the player, but I can tell you it'll be an offensive lineman, said one team source. There has been buzz about Pittsburgh adding a wide receiver at number 20, but the feeling I got in making calls to teams this week is that the Steelers believe they're an elite team at drafting receiver talent outside the top 32 picks, and history backs that up. So someone like Georgia's Amarius Mims or Oklahoma's Tyler Guyton might make sense here. Either right tackle prospect would allow last year's first-rounder Broderick Jones to move to his more natural position after a strong rookie season on the right side. Pro Football Focus ranked the Steelers 31st in pass blocking last season. The team needed to overhaul their offensive line to help in the run-and-pass game. Most scouts think the draft is top-heavy at offensive tackle and relatively stacked at wide receiver. The Steelers should address their needs on the offensive line early and then take a pass catcher in a later round. Of course, the Steelers could always trade for help at wide receiver around the draft. Steelers might have to be aggressive to land Zach Frazier. As Zach Frazier's NFL stock continues to rise, it's becoming clear the Pittsburgh Steelers will have to be aggressive if they hope to land the West Virginia offensive lineman. With fellow top prospect Jackson Powers Johnson believed by most experts to be the first center off the board, that then leaves Frazier next in line. Frazier fits everything Mike Tomlin normally loves in a player. He's athletic, intelligent and mature. But unfortunately for Tomlin and Pittsburgh, where they pick in the early rounds, number 20 in the first round and number 51 in the second, may require movement in order to secure the stud center who played college football about 70 miles south at WVU. According to Pro Football Focus Steve Palazzolo, Pittsburgh's biggest competitor for Frazier is the Dallas Cowboys. During a recent appearance on 93.7 The Fan, Palazzolo made it known he does not believe Frazier will fall past the Cowboys at pick number 24, meaning the Steelers would have to select the Fairmont, West Virginia native in the first round. While some mock drafts still do project Frazier as going in the second round, it's safe to say he's unlikely to be around at pick number 51. And based on what former offensive lineman turned NFL analyst Brian Baldinger said on The Krug Show with Larry Krueger, the Steelers and Cowboys may very well not be the only teams with a first-round grade on Frazier. I texted a personnel director the first day I watched him, and I just said, "Can Zach Frazier start at center for you?" And he goes, "Right now," said Baldinger. "Yeah, he's our starting center," literally texting me back in real time. He could be our starting center. With that said, the Steelers absolutely love Frazier, a source told Mike DeFabua of The Athletic. DeFabua reports the Steelers are extremely high on Frazier's ceiling as a pro. If that's the case, Tomlin and General Manager Omar Khan may have to just pull the trigger on drafting Frazier in the first round. The Steelers have an incredibly rich history at the center position, highlighted by past all-time greats Mike Webster, Dermontti Dawson, and even more recently with Maurkice Pouncey. Webster and Dawson are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Pouncey may very well end up in Canton with them someday. Pittsburgh is hoping they can find their next blue-chip center in this year's draft. West Virginia longtime play-by-play voice Tony Caridi believes Frazier would fit the bill. In fact, Caridi feels Frazier was born to be a Steeler. "I would take 12 Zach Fraziers on my team. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Steelers," Caridi said on 93.7 The Fan when asked his thoughts on the possibility Frazier could be drafted by the nearest NFL franchise to Morgantown. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Zach Frazier? Leave your opinion in the comments.